Welcome once again to my channel, Israeli Math Concept. In this tutorial, I would love to solve this given question on the board. Actually, the question is related to statistics. Remember, if this is your first time on viewing, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and as well hit the notification bell right there so that whenever I drop a new math content, you would be notified. I want to read out the question first of all. The question says, in the class of 30 students, the following scores were obtained, and the scores are 12, 8, 15, 18, 9, 6, 10, 20, 1, 8, and with other scores which follows suit. So the A part of the question, we are asked to construct a frequency distribution table for the data. So we are asked to construct a frequency distribution table for this given set of data. Then for the B part of the question, we are asked to represent the information on a bar chart. While the C part of the question, we are asked to calculate the mean and standard deviation. So we are asked to calculate the mean and standard deviation of this given set of data. I will first of all solve the A part of the question, after which I will solve the C part of the question before I then solve for the D part of the question as the last question I would love to solve. Let's start with the A part of the question. We are asked to construct a frequency distribution table for the data. So these are the data, and we are asked to construct a frequency distribution table for this given set of data. And to do so, first thing first, we shall draw our first horizontal line. Remember that a straight line of this form is a horizontal line, and then we cross it with our first vertical line. Don't mind my drawing. Alright, this is how vertical line looks like. Then for the first column, remember these are columns, while whatever we have like this or in this format are the rows. So in the first column, I will then consider these scores. Scores. So I will put scores. And remember, our scores can be put as our x. The x will help us when we begin to compute for the formula. Okay, then for these scores, I will begin to arrange the data I have here in ascending order. Remember that ascending order means from the smallest to the biggest. So I will begin to arrange this data we have here in ascending order, that is from the smallest to the biggest. And obviously, tracing to check for the smallest value we have here, that is 1. So I will have 1 here. Then I will check the second value after 1. I guess that is 3. I have 3. Then the next one, I guess that is 6. I have 6. You check for 7, whether there is 7. And yes, there is 7. So we have 7. You check for 8. We have 8. You check for 9. We have 9. You check for 10. We have 10. You check for 11. I guess we don't have any 11 here. We check for 12 and we have 12. We check for 13. We have 13. We check for 14. We have 14. We check for 15. We have 15. We check for 16. I guess we don't have any 16 here. We check for 17. We don't still have 17. We check for 18. We have 18 here. Then we check for 19. I guess there is no 19. Then we check for 20. We have 20. So obviously, these are the scores we have. Remember what I did was to arrange these scores in ascending order. That is from the smallest score, which is 1, to the highest score, which is 20. Then for the second column, remember we are asked to construct a frequency distribution table for the data. So for the second column, we shall have our F, which is our frequency. So our frequency is same thing as our f. Then for our frequency, what do we do? Very simple. We begin to check how many times this one repeats itself. Let's check for the first row here. We have 1, we have 2. So 1 repeated itself just 2 times, so we have 2 here. Then for 3, let's check how many times 3 repeats itself in this course. So we check, we have the first 3 just once, so we put 1. Then for 6, we check how many times it repeated itself. We just have 1. We have 2. So it repeated itself 2 times. Then for 7, we check. We have 1 and we have 2. So that is 2 times. For 8, we check. We have 1. We have 2. We just have 2 times. Then for 9, let's check. We have 1. We have 2. We have 3. So 9 repeated itself 3 times. Then for 10, let's also check. We have 1. We have 2. We have 3. So it repeated itself 3 times. Then for 12, we check also. We have 1. We have 2. We have 3. Then we have 4. And we have 5. So that is 5 times. Then for 13, we check. We have 1. We have 2. We have 3. And that is 3 times. Then for 14, we have 1. We have 2. So we have 2 times. Then for 15, we have 1. We have 2. And it's only 2. Then for 18, we have 1. We have 2. So we only have 2 for 18. Then for 20, which is the last score we have 1. So we only have 1 for 20. So what we have to do is to check if there is a number we didn't mark. If there is a number we didn't mark, automatically the numbers we enter here, we trace it back. So checking for it. I guess all the numbers are marked. So since all the numbers are marked, automatically our frequencies are correct. Alright, this is basically how to construct a frequency distribution table for a given set of data. But for convenience, some may want to put the tally. Remember that your tally is just the stroke representation of frequency. So coming here, this is our tally, and these are our frequencies. So how many frequencies do we have? That is 2. Then we draw the stroke like this. Remember, the strokes are slanty. Then this one we have 1, so the stroke will just be 1. In this frequency we have 2, the stroke will be 2. In this other one 2, this other one 2, this one is 3, and 3. This one is 5. This is the way we draw for 5. We first draw 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we cross it with the 5th one. Then for 3, we have 1, 2, 3. For 2, we have 1, 2. For 2, we have 1, 2. For 2, we have 1, 2. And for 1, we just have 1. So this is the way to put your tally. Alright, so having put your tally, I guess this is the completion of construction of your frequency distribution table for this given set of data. So I guess we are through with number 1. Let's then enter into the C part of the question before we solve for the B part of the question. The C part of the question, we are asked to calculate the mean and standard deviation of this given set of data. First thing first, we shall state the formula for our mean. Remember, the formula for finding our mean is simply mean. Our mean is still the same as bar x or x bar, and that is equal to summation of fx all over summation of f, because we are calculating for the mean that involves frequency. Hence, we use this formula. Then for standard deviation, which is the second thing we are asked to find, standard deviation, the formula is given as standard deviation, which is our SD, which is equal to the square root of variance. And remember, our variance is simply the summation of f in brackets x minus bar x all squared, and that is all over summation of f. Okay, we then want to impute the parameters in these formulas in these given columns that we shall draw now. So for this part of the column, we shall have our fx, which is the product of the frequency and the scores. Then after our fx, we shall have the next column that will accommodate x minus bar x. So here we have x minus our bar x. After which we shall have the next column that will accommodate our f in brackets x minus our bar x all squared. So I guess we are through with entering all the combined parameters we have in these two formulas. So let's start with our fx, because we are targeting to find our mean first of all. So starting with our fx simply means multiplying all the frequencies we have here with the scores we have here. So I will then say 2 multiplied by 1 is 2. The next f is 1. So 1 multiplied by the x, which is 3, is 3. The next f is 2. So 2 multiplied by 6, we have 12. The next f is 2. 2 multiplied by 7, we have 14. 2 multiplied by 8, we have 16. 3 multiplied by 9, we have 27. Then 3 multiplying 10, we have 30. Then 5 multiplied by 12, we have 60. Then 3 multiplied by 13, we have 39. Then 2 multiplied by, sorry, let me bring it down a little bit. So this is 39. Then 2 multiplied by 14, we have 28. Then 2 multiplied by 15, we have 30. 2 multiplied by 18, we have 36. Then 1 multiplied by 20, we still have 20. So we want to sum all the fx here. So we then say summation of fx is equal to, we then sum every values here, 2 plus 3 plus 12 plus 14 plus 16 plus 27 plus 30 plus 60 plus 39 plus 28 plus 30 plus 36 and plus 20. I guess all the values will give us 317. 317. So we have 317. Remember, you could still punch with your calculator and you will get this value that I just got here. Okay, then for the frequency, we want to sum the frequency. Hence, I will say summation of our frequency, which is equal to, let's sum all this frequency. 2 plus 1 will give us 3. 3 plus 2 will give us 5. 5 plus 2, 7. 7 plus 2, 9. 9 plus 3 will give us 12. 12 plus 3 will give us 15. 15 plus 5 will give us 20. 20 plus 3 will give us 23. 23 plus 2 will give us 25. 25 plus 2 will give us 27. 27 plus 2 will give us 29. And 29 plus 1 will give us 30. So the summation of our frequency is 30. We have that our mean which is our bar x, is equal to summation of fx. We've summed our fx to be 317. So I have here 317. That is all over summation of f. I've also summed the f to have 30. So this is all over 30. Then with your calculator, our bar x will now give us, punching with your calculator, 317 divided by 30. I have the scores already here, so the value is 10 points. It will give us 10.566. So the 6 continues. That means the value continues. That's why I put these 3 dots. So I will now approximate it. So approximating to 2 decimal place, I have 10 points, I have 5, then the number that follows is 6. But the number that follows this 6 is up to 5, so I will run it up. By taking 1 from this 6 and putting in this 6 here, it will change to 7. So approximately to 2 decimal place. So this is the value for our mean. So having found our mean, which is one of the questions we are asked to find, we then want to find our standard deviation. Remember that this is the formula for our standard deviation. Let's compute it and complete it here. We have x minus bar x. Remember that x minus bar x is simply the deviation of this course from your mean. And x are the scores we have here, while the mean is this very mean which we found to be 10.57. So coming here now, I will be subtracting our mean, which is 10.57, from this x, which are our scores. So let's proceed with that. The first x we have is 1. I will then say 1 minus our bar x, which is 10.57. See, if you punch with your calculator, you will have the value of negative 9.57. The same thing is applicable. Our next x is 3. So 3 minus our bar x, which is 10.57, we have the value negative 7.57. So the same thing is applicable to other ones. X is 6. 6 minus our bar s, which is 10.57, we will have negative 4.57. So the remaining scores are negative 3.57. Okay, having found the values of our x minus our bar x, which is the deviation of our scores from this mean, we then want to find, oh, I'm supposed to have, sorry, I will remove this f, then I'm supposed to have x minus bar x squared before I have the final one, which is f in brackets x minus bar x all raised to the power of 2. Okay, for this x minus our bar s raised to the power of 2 simply means we want to square all the values we have here. So what do? I will then say negative 9.57. This is what I mean. Negative 9.57. Then I will now square it. So with my calculator, I will punch negative 9.57 multiplied by negative 9.57. That is multiplying it by itself. That is the meaning of square. And when we multiply negative 9.57 by itself, we shall have the value of 91.58. Then the same thing is applicable here. When we take the square of negative 7.57, that is saying negative 7.57 multiplied by itself, which is negative 7.57, we shall have the value of 57.30, and the subsequent values are 20.88. So we are through with imputing the values for x minus bar x all squared. So for the next column, which is the last column, is about f in bracket x minus by x all squared. That is the product of the frequency and all the values we have in this given column. So the first frequency we have here is 2. So I will then say 2 multiplied by 91.58. Then I will have 183.16. Then the next one is our next f, which is 1. So I will then say 1 multiplied by 57.30, which is the same thing as 57.30. Remember that 1 multiplying any value is still that value. Then the next f is our 2. So 2 multiplied by 20.88, we shall have 41.76. Then the next f, which is our 2, then I will say 2 multiplied by 12.74. Here I have 25.48. So subsequently, that is how I will keep multiplying out to have my subsequent values like 13.20, then 7.38. Okay, having fixed all our values for the last column here, let's get to solve this very standard deviation. Remember, our standard deviation simply say square root of summation of f in bracket x minus by x raised to the power of 2. So we shall sum all the f in bracket x minus by x raised to the power of 2. So everything we have in this column, we shall sum it. That is the meaning of the summation of f in bracket x minus by x raised to the power of 2. So when we sum all these things, it will be equal to, the value will give us 619.22. So the value will give us 619.22. That is basically the value we have. Then for the summation of f in this formula for standard deviation, we've already summed our f to be 30. So let's complete the solving for the standard deviation. The standard deviation, which is our SD, is then equal to all square root of, remember, summation of everything here is what we just summed to have 619.22. So here we have 619.22, and that is divided by summation of f. Summation of f, we sum f to be 30, and that is all over 30. Hence, our standard deviation is equal to the square root of, when we divide 619.22 by 30, we shall have the value of 20.64. And when we take the square root of 20.64, it will give us the value 4.54, approximately to 2 decimal place. So I approximated this number or value to 2 decimal place. So automatically, our standard deviation is equal to 4.54, while our mean, which is our bar x, is approximately 10.57. I would love to clean this side so as to complete the solving for the C part of the question. Alright, to represent this information here, which are already contained in this table on a bar chart, it is very simple to do. But remember that bar chart is the rectangular representation of frequency. And if we are to represent this information, which are already contained in this table on a bar chart, it is very simple. What do? We are considering only the scores and the frequency. They are basically the two things we want to put on the bar chart. So first thing first, we shall draw the first vertical line. Then after which we draw the first horizontal line. So at this first vertical line, we call it our frequency. Our frequency. Sorry, my board could not contain. Then for the horizontal line, we consider it as our scores. So here we have our scores, which is our x. While here we have our frequency, which is our f. You could draw this bar chart with your graph, and at the same time you could still draw it with your plane sheet. But for precision, it is supposed to be drawn on a graph sheet because of the scaling. Alright, we want to scale the vertical line. So assuming we are using our graph sheet to draw this bar chart, our graph sheet is measured in centimeter. So assuming from this point to this point is 2 centimeter, I could say let this 2 centimeter represent 1 unit. So I will then come to this frequency column and check the highest frequency we have, and the highest frequency we have is 5. So after 1 unit, another 2 centimeter will be 2 units. I will keep adding it until I get to the highest frequency of 5, which we have here. So the next 2 centimeter will be 3 units, the next 2 centimeter will be 4 units, and the last 2 centimeter will be 5 units, which is the highest frequency we have here, and that is 5 units. So let's begin to put the rectangles. But remember, while putting your rectangles, it must maintain equal width. What do I mean by equal width? If the widths are something like 1 centimeter, all of the widths should be equal. That is what I meant by that. As we proceed, I guess we understand better. So coming here, the first rectangle I will draw is about the score 1. And that score 1 will be traced to the frequency of 2. So assuming I'm taking the space of 1 centimeter, maybe from here to here is 1 centimeter, I will then trace my first score, which is 1, to the frequency of 2. So coming to this very point, I will draw my rectangle. I will draw it up at this given point of 2, which is the frequency of 2. Then I will bring it down. This is my first rectangle. Then I will call it the score 1 at this point. So the next rectangle will maintain equal width as the first rectangle. Remember what I meant by the term width of the rectangle is from this point of the rectangle to this point. So if I jump another 1 centimeter, I will then draw another rectangle that will stop at this 1. Remember, it is stopping at the next frequency of 1. So it will stop at the frequency of 1. Then I will cut it and make sure it maintains the same width as this. Then I will bring it down. Then I will call it my score 3. Then for the next frequency, which is 2, I will jump another 1 centimeter and then draw another rectangular bar that will stop at the same frequency of 2. So it will go up and stop at the frequency of 2, maintaining the same width. Then it will come down. Then I will call it my 6. Then the next one is still 2. So I will draw another rectangle to touch 2, and that is 7. So maintaining the same width, it will still be at the point of 2. I will call it 7. Jumping another 1 centimeter, I will draw another rectangle that will still touch the same 2. The same 2, and I will call it my 8. Then drawing another rectangle to touch the frequency of 3. So I will draw another rectangle to touch the frequency of 3. It will be in line with the frequency of 3. Maintaining the same width, we come down. I will call it my 9. Then drawing another rectangle which will reach to this frequency of 3. Then I will have another rectangle reaching to the frequency of 3, maintaining the same width. So I will call it my 10. Then the next one is 5. Then I will draw another rectangle maintaining the same width to reach the point of 5. So I will bring it down. So I will call it my 12. So drawing another rectangle which will get to the frequency of 3, I will then draw it and it will get to the frequency of 3. Here is 3. Then it will come down. I will call it my 13. My score 13. Sorry, let me clean this to make it more convenient. Remember, this is still the scores x. So here is my 13. Then drawing another rectangle for the frequency of 2, it will go up and get to the frequency of 2, maintaining the same width. It will come down, and that is for 14. Then another rectangle for that of frequency of 2, and that is for 15. So I will get to 2, bring it down, that is for 15. Another rectangle, that is for 2, it will get to the frequency of 2, and that will be for 18. So here I have 18. Then the last one, which is my 1, and that is for the frequency of 1, and that is for the value of 20. Hence, this is my 1. I trace it. So the rectangle should be at this point for my 1, and that is for the score 20. So I have 20 here. Alright, this is basically how to draw a bar chart, and from this bar chart, one can easily interpret the information contained on this table. Thank you for viewing, thank you for watching. Remember to reshare this video if you found this video to be useful, and at the same time, remember to hit on the notification bell so that whenever I drop a new math content, you will be notified. See you next time. Goodbye.